It's time for Moto Hop on Air.
Welcome to episode 27.
Yay. I forgot I used to do those rhyming things. It's been so long.
Yeah. We're recording this on May 7th, right on time at 10:02 p.m. Like normal.
Oh, yeah. I almost needed caffeine, but couldn't quite do caffeine this late.
We are trialing some different audio equipment tonight, so hopefully it turns out okay.
So we'll make sure we put like a really important secret at the end of the episode. So if you endure what it could potentially be mediocre audio equipment, you get a special surprise.
Okay, well, hopefully you have a plan for that because I don't.
Well, they'll just have to listen and find out. Maybe they'll get one, maybe they won't.
Yeah. Well, what I guess we'll just start with what's in your cup.
So it's a little bit of a knockoff drink.
If you want to move your mic, I'm going to mute you for 1 second.
No, I'm going to leave it.
If you spin up here, it's less.
It's less.
Yeah, but
stuffy.
like sliding the feet
Okay,
around. I'm going to mute you for 1 second. Do what you want to do. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Slide around. Are you good? Can you move the microphone back towards your mouth? You're pointing past your ear. Okay. Are you happy with that positioning? Okay. You are now unmuted.
Such an honor.
Yeah. Okay. So what's in your cup?
So it tastes like a margarita. It's supposed to be this thing called a Pantaloma, which I think it's because like the tequila makes your pants fall off.
Yeah, but that's pantalones.
Oh, maybe that's what it was supposed to be then.
Okay.
I don't remember. And obviously we had basically none of the ingredients of the recipe, so I changed most all of them.
And for the audience, of the ingredients in the recipe, what one did we actually have?
Tequila. And agave syrup. So like...
Oh, okay. So 2 out of...
4.
Okay, so you're 50% to the recipe.
I used the ratio. So we didn't have lime juice, so I switched it with lemon juice. So I figured that was good enough.
Okay, yeah.
And then it called for like a teaspoon or something weird of orange marmalade, which I was not doing. I hate orange marmalade. Mm-hmm. So I used some like grapefruit seltzer stuff we had. So it wasn't like crazy different.
Okay.
That's it. What do you have?
You enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean,
I thought it was good.
I haven't been drinking lately, so it's kind of almost feels unnecessary but I needed something. Tequila was the only thing I could think of that might give me like temporary spike and excitement, not energy. A temporary
okay.
If I was to go wine or something, I would just fall asleep. So
I'm glad you chose to not do something that would make you fall asleep.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I appreciate that. I'm sure the audience appreciates that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have...
You don't even know. You got to open your little can cooler.
Let me pull it back out.
It's exciting new drink that I found.
Yeah. You picked this up at the local
liquor store. You could buy like 1 can of things, which I think I spoke to the owner. I'm not sure, but I complimented them on the fact that you can buy 1 can of many things.
This is from Town Branch Distilling Co. This is the Bourbon-Ola, Prohibition style bourbon and cherry cola.
The label looked kind of cool.
Made with Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey with natural flavors and caramel color.
I'm glad you can only get one because in my head was worried that it would just taste like alcoholic medicine.
Well, we're about to find out.
Because cherry and bourbon just gives me like an acidic, like liquid medicine vibe.
Oh, much better opening sounds on this mic.
Slurpy slurp. You didn't slurp like I did.
Oh.
Is it good?
I don't know how I feel about this.
You seemed excited, and it trailed off very quickly. I'm scared.
I'm getting a bit of the medicine vibe. What do you think?
I would say it's pretty mild compared to if you were to mix your own drink. A lot of times it would have like a stronger bourbon burn.
Which is interesting because it's 12%.
It is a bit lighter, which is kind of nice. But it's also higher volume if you were to mix a drink. I don't know if it would be all 12 ounces or whatever that is. So I don't think it's bad. Yeah, I didn't get too much cherry.
There's like weird cherry that like lingers in my nose. There's like an aftertaste.
Maybe it's a second drink.
Yeah.
After you get like a little bit of a buzz from a first drink, it's one you kind of dial down to.
Well, we'll see how this goes. I did pour a Jack and Coke as backup just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah. I think I left out. The reason we're trialing new audio equipment is this is going to be our portable setup. Mm-hmm. So that way we can record potentially where we're going next week.
Secrets.
Potentially at Vintage Days.
Mm-hmm. Which is really only 2 months away, which is horrifying. It's like winter now, and to think how hot it is during Vintage Days is like a complete mind warp that it's going to go from like 50 degrees now to like 80 degrees in 2 months.
Yeah, but it was like 72 today.
Yeah, that's true, but it was like 50 degrees yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
It just hasn't felt like...
That's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing more on the fact that it's like 2 months away. We're talking about putting a different transmission in the toter home. I haven't unwinterized or summarized the majority of the bikes in the garage.
You only need like 2.
Yeah. I mean, fair.
And you just do one at a time as you ride them. You don't have to like go through and do them all at once. Start with the most reliable. And that way you know like the ones you unwinterize or whatever you do, charge the batteries and whatnot. You know you have like 1 or 2 easy wins to start with. And then if anything else goes awry, you've got backup.
Yeah. Man, I don't know how I feel about this drink.
Well, you don't have to finish it.
We'll check in through
especially if it's carbonated. It's not good to be drinking too much carbonation while you're talking.
Yeah. So exciting news that we found out after the last episode, but only because I had missed the first email.
Oh, they emailed you?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
And I mean, let's be honest. It's probably not. It's they can say whoever they want, falls in these rankings, but we are now one of the top 80 motorcycle podcasts according to FeedSpot. And last I checked, we were 40th.
I wonder how many are active.
Listen, all I'm saying is we are in the top half. So
I don't know if I should feel some way about this. So apparently a year ago, I paid FeedSpot for a subscription.
Okay.
Just today, it renewed, secretly, until you see the transaction in your card. And I canceled.
What'd you subscribe to FeedSpot for?
I don't know. They have a really good, I think they just pull in other articles, but they have a really good like branding and design line of
articles.
I think that was them.
FeedSpot.
Yeah. I thought so.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I went to the website, it was just all like podcast oriented.
No,
I don't. It's just like an aggregate of podcasts.
I don't know. It's like all maybe it's third party. Maybe I'm getting scammed. But at one point, there was an article I wanted to read, or something or other. They wanted me to pay for, so I paid for it because I was like, "Oh, this is really good branding and design." Email, like they send me emails.
Yeah, not the same company, 100%. I'm sitting here looking at it.
But
the
look,
homepage of FeedSpot.
Here's my email, FeedSpot subscription status. I don't know why it didn't load. But it's straight up, sir.
Huh. Weird.
Oh,
what email did that come to?
Your subscription has been canceled for future renewals. FeedSpot standard. I don't know. They have something I paid for at one point, and then I just emailed them to cancel it. What?
Not that we need to do like back end keeping here, but can you click where it says 2 so I can see what email they sent that to?
That's my Gmail.
Huh. Weird.
I literally had to log in on FeedSpot today and cancel it. It wasn't some sketchy email thing. I'm very careful.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what I was paying for, but they got me.
Yeah, it looks like they have like a news reader and a contact database and some type of PR software. I don't know.
I think it's a bunch of articles, and they'll probably tailor an algorithm to what you're interested in.
Yeah.
For me, it was branding and design. And like I said, I must have hit like I think I might have hit a limit at one point on the articles I could read. You get so many for free, I think. If not, they'll just get my, what's it called, a chargeback when I dispute. I emailed them and did nicely ask them, like, hey, before I go to my credit card company, this is still pending. Can you not take my money, please?
But yeah, so put the badge up on the podcast page. So we're a top motorcycle podcast.
Just leave it vague.
They can click through, see that we're wherever we fall that day in the rankings.
Okay.
So I've had time to catch up on some back podcasts, and between working on the X5 and other stuff we'll get to in a bit. And I wanted to take a second to address, there was some back and forth. Cleveland Moto episode 497, I think it was. They brought up the whole Tesla and the flawed, the issues with the autopilot system since they removed LiDAR. I will tell people to refer back to episode 17 where we did a bit about this. There's also
our episode 17.
Yes. Yeah. Episode 17 of Moto Hop on Air. There's also, if you go to motohop.com, in the blogs is where I made the little article and just dumped all of my reference material for that episode.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, they talked about it. Noco Moto. I should have paid attention to what episode Noco Moto it was.
Recent.
Yeah.
Very recent.
Yeah. 272. Titled Cleveland Moto was gasp wrong. Was trying. So MotoGP, from what I remember at this moment, his argument was that Tesla's do not have a flaw. He referenced the Mark Rober test that Phil referenced, said it had been debunked. I will include a link in the show notes where someone was able actually to replicate Rober's work on Hardware 3. I believe in a Model Y, it may have been a Model 3. Did the same thing, printed a big picture, made a wall out of it. You were in the room while I was watching it. Tesla did not see it, went through. Similarly to Rober's test, because the ultrasonic sensors on the front are used for parking, essentially, like your X3 has the distance detectors, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does not detect the wall until it is within range of the ultrasonic sensors, which is a couple feet roughly. So there was 2 points of speculation. Mark Rober was interviewed, and his thought was, because if you watch the Mark Rober test, 17 frames before impact, the autopilot disengages from the Tesla.
17 like video frames?
Yes.
What is that, like half a second?
About half a second, right? So, and I forget what speed he was traveling. I'm sure someone could figure out the exact feet before impact it disengaged. Mark speculated that because the ultrasonic sensors picked it up, it then disengaged autopilot. The more nefarious take that some people on the internet had is Tesla, because it was able to detect the object at last minute, disengaged autopilot, because in the real world, if that was an actual traffic accident and autopilot was engaged, that is handled differently for accident reporting with the National Highway Traffic Safety Association, NHTSA. I always have to remember. I always want to say NTHSA for some reason. But anyways, so if they disengage autopilot at the last second, it would not count as a driver aid accident.
Loophole.
Right. Again, no necessarily proof that. Speculation of nefarious dealings by Tesla. So the same thing occurred in the reproduction, though. They hit the wall, autopilot had disengaged. So but Pete also was arguing, he's like, when was the last time you came across a Wile E. Coyote style wall? That's not the point.
I wonder if a mirror would work. But yeah, I guess.
Yeah, well, because
the
on
chances
a mirror,
of
though,
you encountering that.
Well, the issue is with a mirror, because Tesla has removed LiDAR from their system and it's using camera vision. If it was a mirror, it would see another car coming towards it.
Mm.
And then that is an interesting question, though. Would it then take corrective action?
Because
of trying to avoid itself.
Well, in a mirror could be a storefront window. Maybe. I guess that would be more relevant. How many people
if you're driving directly towards it?
How many local stories have we seen in like the past 3 years of people driving into buildings? Like Starbucks a lot of times is just like a magnet for cars for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why that is.
A handful of them in Columbus.
The building next to the Starbucks near us, someone drove through the front of.
Brick walls. I mean, there was one through the Pet Supplies Plus a couple years ago. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's just insane.
I mean, most of these are in parking lots. And this, I would speculate, people not paying attention to what gear they put their vehicle in. And it's going forward instead of reverse. But
gas instead of stop. I mean, I don't know. I just question a lot of things when people drive through a building, but
sure. But the argument that you're not running into Wile E. Coyote walls, it's like, yeah, no one, I don't think anyone was arguing that was the issue. The issue is that this is a system that people put faith into, handling traffic decisions for them, and thus turn their brain off. Whether the people that are pro driver aids want to admit it or not, you can go see video after video of people. I don't know. I don't think the current generation of tech Tesla has is susceptible to it, but I know the early stuff, like it was trying to detect your hands on the wheel. So people found out that if they put like a weight clamped on one side of their steering wheel, it would think hands were there.
Cheating.
So when you have people trying to circumvent the like requirement for driver attentiveness, and then you multiply that by the fact that there's a flaw with the system, I don't know how anyone's take can be, why do we care? Which was kind of Pete's take of the whole, I don't run into these walls. We'll cross out the fact that he said Rober was debunked whenever we actually have evidence that people have been able to recreate it with hardware 3. And then his other point was, as a motorcyclist, you, number one, are responsible for your own safety. The Hurt report proved that, more often than not, it's the motorcyclist with some deficit that caused, their own accident, etc. Wholeheartedly agree. We are responsible for our own well-being. But he also said, let's say we all agree that there's an issue with the Teslas. What action do you take? I'm going to take this a step further, because the answer seems obvious to me, right? Of if I know from accident data that Tesla's camera vision system seems to have an issue detecting the distance of motorcycles with dual rear taillights at highway speed, and I noticed there was a Tesla behind me while riding one of those motorcycles, I would probably not position myself in front of the Tesla. Back to the, I'm responsible for my safety.
Yeah, but that's not always that easy. If you're on like a normal 2-lane road, you're not on a 4-lane highway where you can just switch lanes.
100%. But if I can make that choice, I'm going to make that choice, right? His argument was, well, what are you going to do with that data if you had it? If someone told me that there was a certain model of car that killed a motorcyclist every time it was behind it, I would never drive in front of that car. And if it got behind me on a 2-lane road, I would pull onto the shoulder.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it kind of sucks to blame the victim, though.
You're like, saying the motorcyclist?
Yeah, it's like,
sure,
why 100%. Say like, well, why'd you let that car behind you? It's like, well, it's called an accident because there's always something you can't control.
Sure. But my point is, if we have the information that seems to have been stacking up over the past couple years, that the camera-based system, specifically Hardware 3 and earlier, which I'm not up on all of the Tesla hardware versions. Hardware 3 may be the first one without LiDAR. I know it appears that Hardware 4 has fixed the Wile E. Coyote wall issue. But if I know that there is a higher likelihood for that driver to be relying on the driver aids of that vehicle because they are as normally they're as advanced as they are and normally function very well. Therefore, the driver of the vehicle is less likely to be attentive to the traffic in front or around them. And I notice they're behind me, and I have the opportunity to not be in that position.
Yes.
I'm going to not be in that position.
Oh, sure. If you have the opportunity.
Yeah.
If you have the awareness.
Yeah. So I guess my point is his take felt a little intentionally obtuse to me. It's just people are relying heavier on driver aids as they become more and more popular. And we know that right now, at least Tesla's system, because it does not have LiDAR in the newer vehicles, is flawed. And that's an issue, right? Full stop. I don't know how we can place the blame on the motorcyclist. And I'm not trying to like bandwagon on any Tesla hate like Pete seemed to think was going on. We covered this back whenever we recorded episode 17. That was pre-election.
Yeah, I mean, this just a little bit aligns with the general, like my day-to-day artificial intelligence type stuff. You know, you use it as much as you can because it's a new fancy tool and it's fun and it's cool and all that stuff. But ultimately, it's kind of numbing our senses. Yeah. It's the whole you don't use it, you lose it theory of any sort of muscle memory or, you know, muscle in general. And your brain is a muscle. So your reaction time, if you're not using it, you're going to lose it. And it's a weird segue we're living in too of this, so many transitions of technology. I would not want to be a judge in those courtrooms because you're kind of redefining like new standards, new expectations, and how many of these cases do you run into and almost just use them to set an example as compared to maybe what you personally feel. You have to think scalable solutions and how those problems maybe will stretch and display, you know, over the near and upcoming future. It's tough. You really have to bend your brain to almost think in a different way since all of this is so new to us. It's not like anything we have. And it's also crazy to think how stupid we'll probably all look in like 10 years when you look back and be like, oh my God, remember when we talked about this?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess part of it is I felt like Pete was giving entirely too much credit to Tesla. In this case specifically, I'm going to widen it to any vehicle driver utilizing driver aids, right? Because he's like, at the end of the day, there's a human behind the wheel who can make the decision. I don't trust them to pay attention. I don't trust them in a non-driver aided vehicle to pay attention. You can drive down the road and watch people on their phones.
But that doesn't make it okay.
I know. What I'm saying is the argument that even if the Tesla system is flawed, there's a human there that can fix the issue, in my mind, is not true. I don't trust the human to.
Yeah, but that doesn't
to fix the issue.
But that's no excuse for the fact that they aren't fixing the issue.
You're talking of the Tesla system?
Talking of the human. Just because you don't trust them to do what they should be doing doesn't give them an excuse to make mistakes.
No, I'm not excusing their mistakes. Oh. I'm saying that his argument is, even if the system's flawed, the humans will fix the issue.
Well, they should.
Yeah.
But you can't trust them, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't. It's like...
You can't trust them.
I don't trust people
The
to do
argument
anything.
is to ride like everyone is trying to kill you, right? Part of his argument was, you should be riding like that. So if the Tesla is getting closer to you than it should be, you should be aware of that. You should be mirror checking, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. Sure. Agreed. But again, if I see the Tesla behind me and I'm on a susceptible motorcycle to the design flaw that we seem to have identified.
Yeah, you're not going to know if it's a problem until they're like a foot away, though.
Yeah, I'm going to try and just not put myself in that position.
That's all you can do is play like defensive driver.
Refer back to like the whole human issue. One of my favorite George Carlin bits is the whole, think of your average stupid person. Now realize that most of them are dumber than that. Yikes. Right? And they're operating motor vehicles around us every day.
Killing machines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm ready to move on, unless you have anything else to say on the subject.
I didn't even listen to that episode, so I'm just playing along.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to introduce the segment that we may or may not continue?
It's a possible segment. It'll show up every so often. Due to our, in the last, has it been 6 months, our new life motto of one crisis at a time, we are introducing a possible new segment as Crisis of the Week. Mm-hmm. What is your crisis this week?
I guess it's almost tied.
We have so we have to figure out, is it crises? Crisi?
Yeah.
Crises?
So I'm trying to remember the timing. It may have happened right before we recorded last episode.
Okay.
We were dealing with the washing machine issues.
Yep. Yeah, because you were going to look at it right after, I think. Right after we recorded.
That what it was? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the gear case, which is essentially the transmission of the washing machine, on ours, there's a shaft that is spline that goes up into the wash basin, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Agitator.
And interacts with the agitator. And there's this little plastic piece that like couples the agitator base to the spline shaft. Because it's plastic, it wears out every so often because teeth just get stripped out of it.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times already, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, and then back in 2022, we realized because when did we get the washing machine?
When we moved in, so probably 2015, 2016.
Yeah, it had to have been end of 15, beginning of 16. So it made it from there to 2022.
7 years ish.
The teeth on the metal shaft of the gear case had like eroded away. Mm-hmm. So replacing the plastic piece was no longer a solution because there was nothing for the plastic piece to engage with. So we replaced the gear case. It has now made it not quite 3 years, right? 23, 24. Yeah, not quite 3 years. And the gear case shaft was stripped off, like the metal teeth had eroded again. And it let all of the oil out of the sealed bearings, which was really fun because it just made a mess of everything underneath. Mm-hmm. So ordered the gear case, replaced it all. And then today, while I was out picking up parts for the other potential crisis of the week, mm-hmm. you text me
that I was giving the washing machine positive affirmations because it did not drain or spin.
Yes. Luckily.
How I fix things is just tell them they're pretty.
Yeah. Luckily, the issue just ended up being somehow from vibration, the nut that held one of the pulleys on had backed off a little bit, which gave it just enough wobble that the belt slipped off the pulley. So tightened up, reset belt. Seems to be working fine.
You didn't remember to put that last screw in that we found, did you?
No. But that's not an issue with where the issue was today. But no, I do need to take it back apart and put that screw in.
You had to take it apart to do that?
I just have to pull the agitator out.
Oh, okay.
It's one bolt to get to where that screw needs to go.
We just had like a missing piece when we put it back together. Luckily, it was a small fraction.
Extra parts to fix it next time.
Other crises?
Yeah, that crisis resolved itself fairly simply.
Thank goodness. About time you got to win.
Yeah.
Ish.
Well, other than the like panic of larger issue, what's this going to be? Why can't things just be fixed when they're fixed, right?
Yeah, and you needed laundry done.
Yeah. The other part is just the working through X5 projects.
Which is somewhat untimely.
Why is it untimely, dear?
Because we want to take it for many miles this weekend. And it's like, let's do all this backlog of work and then just get on the road and drive 600 miles and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, but I have this backlog of work I'm trying to work through because we decided to do this
last minute adventure.
2 weeks at most ago?
I think it was about a week ago we booked it.
Yeah. So it has, I may have mentioned last episode, 2 open recalls. One for the Vanos adjuster bolts, which is like the cam adjusters. They have an issue where they loosen up and back out, or the heads shear off of them and then disappear into a part of the engine, sometimes falling down following the timing chain guide and end up down in like the oil pan area. And the other one is for a PCV heater. So, called up BMW of Akron, scheduled it. They had to get parts in, dropped it off last night.
You scheduled it like last week, I think.
Yes. They told me it might take a whole day, which I was a little confused at first, but I was like, okay. Dropped it off last night. They called this morning, kind of reconfirmed the whole thing.
They've actually been really good at communicating as much as
they have. It's been fantastic.
Kind of annoying, so the concept of it. Number one, it's not their fault, but also number two, at least you know what's going on.
Yeah, no, 100%. So far, they've been fantastic. Did not get done today. I was not understanding why until I read into the TSB and realized that there's a potential that the heads are shearing off the bolts, which then basically the corrective action is find the head of the bolt. So it's do
inventory on all the little bits and pieces.
Yeah, because if everything works fine and the bolts are intact, it's remove valve cover, undo 8 bolts. There's a little more to it than that. Replace 8 bolts. If it's remove valve cover, realize a head of one is missing. It's potentially drop oil pan.
What time did you talk to them today and ask them if they had gotten to it yet?
I didn't ask them if they had gotten to it.
I thought you asked them if they found any of the head bolts.
I did. They texted me to tell me that it wasn't going to be done today, and that was around 3.
Oh, and didn't you ask them if they'd gotten to it and they had
head bolts or something different?
Oh, good grief.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded like they had done the PCV heater recall, but had not got into the Vanos adjuster bolt recall yet.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that gets wrapped up tomorrow, because then I have to do a valve cover on it.
Did you make sure that your scooter runs?
I have to go double check the air pressure when we're done with this.
Okay, good. You can put the mower away.
Yes, I know. I have to do the valve cover at a minimum. I have stuff to flush or drain and refill both differentials and the transfer case. I have the driver front stabilizer link was broken. I found whenever I put the wheels on. So I have one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to play a game of what can I get done between picking the car up, hopefully tomorrow, and us leaving Sunday morning. And what I don't get done may go with us, and it might be my happy place of working on it in the driveway while we're away.
Is that your happy place, or is that sarcastic?
No, I enjoy working on vehicles when it is my choice.
But in the driveway of a rental home?
If it's easy stuff.
Okay. Power to you.
Yeah.
Hope you don't need my help.
I don't anticipate doing anything that would need your help, because that would probably not fall into the easy stuff category.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Which one do you think is the crisis of the week?
I think the car is bigger.
Because it affects you more directly.
because it gives me more stress. We have easy alternatives. If we can't do laundry, I'll just go do laundry somewhere else.
Yeah.
Can't really just... I know how much having a vehicle weighs on your mental health, so I have like secondhand stress from your stress. Because really, my life has been great. It's just everything falls on you.
Yeah.
So it's like there's nothing I can do about it. It's completely out of my hands. But if we need to do laundry, I could either go to someone's house, find a laundromat. There's easy alternatives. I could even just pay a dry cleaner to do our laundry.
There's plenty of easy alternatives if we're talking about
Not
spending
cheap.
money.
Not cheap. It's going to cost more to pay someone to fix your car than it would be to go to a dry cleaner for a day.
Yeah. Okay, fair. Okay.
That's all.
So, car wins crisis of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is portable gear? Well, I already mentioned that. That's the testing the gear, because this is designed to be the portable setup. The other thing I put on here was, I don't remember what episode. I had worked through a whole way to turn an Android phone into a CarPlay screen on my bike at one point. And it was like, I needed a dongle and an adapter and then a cheap Android phone. Long story short, CarPlay screens have come way down in cost.
Mm-hmm.
I just grabbed a 7-inch touchscreen one for, I think after the discount on Amazon, like 40-ish bucks. It's small enough that...
I don't even think I really paid attention to it. Just sitting up on the coffee table.
Yeah, it's...
How are you going to adhere it to your... Like,
it has a windshield mount.
Oh, okay.
It came with some other mount. I need to see what the other mount is. Because X5 is of the vintage, it does not have CarPlay. Eventually I'm going to do like a CarPlay integration with it. But for this trip, cheap CarPlay screen. It'll then either move to motorcycle duty because it's small enough that I think, at least on like the Vulcan and the Honda, it wouldn't look ridiculously out of place.
But so how does a CarPlay screen, does it just Bluetooth from your phone like mine in my car?
Yep.
So so your phone is off, it'll work if your phone is off, so you can at least save your phone battery a little bit.
What do you mean off?
Like your screen.
Yeah.
Like your screen is tucked away in a bag or something somewhere.
Yes. The reason I had explored this idea before was one of my morbid thoughts of, if I were in an accident, what would happen? The issue is I normally put my phone on a mount on my bike.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten out of the habit of wearing my watch, which I need to get back into.
You need to turn all your notifications off. Is what you need to do. On your watch.
What?
You said you need to get back in the habit of wearing your watch.
Yes.
And it was stressing you out because of it was constantly going off.
Okay. Yes.
Turn it into a dumb watch.
That threw me way off because I wasn't sure how turning notifications off was going to save my life. Because the issue at hand is, if you put your phone on a mount and you have no other way to communicate with the world if you were in an accident and you are separated from your motorcycle, you have an issue. CarPlay screen solves that because you can keep your phone on your person and the CarPlay screen can be on the bike. Still visible for directions, etc., music control. But in the event of a unscheduled separation from your motorbike, you are still in possession of your communication device to, if you're conscious, wake up whatever personal assistant your phone has.
Didn't your watch have cellular on it too?
Yes. This is if someone doesn't have a watch.
Okay.
That is one of the big reasons why I got the Apple Watch with cellular, was to eliminate the need of this CarPlay solution, because my effort back then was a half measure. But nowadays, he said you can get these CarPlay screens for under $50, and they're just a finished solution. You give it 12 volts, you mount it. Actually, it's USB-C. Yeah, it comes with like a 12 volt car adapter, but you can just power it through USB-C.
So you'd have to have an external battery or something then?
Repowered off the bike.
Oh, I guess I've never really done that. powered anything.
Anything off your bike?
I don't have a bike. Yeah, I've never seen you do it either. Like, I've never paid attention to powering something off the bike.
Yeah. Vulcan, Honda, the Harley all have phone chargers that I've set up on them. The Royal Alloy has a USB port built into it. I think.
Where does that power come from? Just off their battery?
Yeah, it's just like a car. There's a battery and I'm going to say alternator so you understand.
Okay.
It's
I gotcha.
a stator on a bike, but yeah, they generate power.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right. That out of the way, recalls. Did you look at any of these?
I did. I looked at the first one and I tried to solve the mystery and couldn't, so I give up.
Yeah. So this one was interesting. So it is a recall for 2021 to 2025 Yamaha Tracer 9 GTs, MT-09 SPs, MT-09s, MT-10 SPs, MT-10s, and XSR 900s within the VIN ranges, but only through Pure Sport Distributing Inc., who has a DBA of Yamaha of Hawaii in Honolulu, Hawaii. It's 216 bikes they sold, but for some reason it's only these bikes in Hawaii. I'm very confused by this.
Unless they had they'd have to have a specific lot number they sent to Hawaii.
Yeah, but what are the odds that it's only these bikes? And then I was thinking
it wouldn't be climate based because then California,
someone else would have the issue, right? Because that's where my mind went, was is it some environmental issue? So the issue is in the report here, the 573. In affected motorcycles, brushes inside the throttle position sensor will slide excessively due to improper ECU programming. While the motorcycle is driven, this excessive sliding generates abrasion particles that can accumulate on the contact points in the TPS.
Maybe it's not just Hawaii. Maybe it's just maybe Hawaii gets things from Asia directly since it's closest. So maybe they have a different stock than the States get, and it just looks like only Hawaii because it would be the only stock in the States.
Good thought.
But
as far as I know, Yamaha doesn't manufacture any motorcycles in the continental U.S.
That's what I'm saying, though, is they came... Where are they at? What country?
Japan.
That's what I'm saying. Hawaii is the closest to Japan. Maybe they're getting things directly from Japan, and the rest of us are...
As far as I know, everyone does.
Oh.
Yeah. I may be wrong but these models...
Maybe they just have a secret inventory.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I guess I'll check into that. But yeah, so if you're listening and you're in Hawaii and you have a Yamaha...
Let us know.
Well, one of those models within the year ranges of 21 to 25.
Niche recall story.
Go to NHTSA, check your VIN. Yeah.
Or solve the mystery and let us know.
Yeah, it was also weird that they're saying the issue is because of due to improper ECU programming. I don't understand how the ECU is controlling the brushes inside the throttle position sensor, but maybe it is somehow. Mm-hmm. But that's what they say. Second recall, the brand new Can-Am Origin and Pulse, which are their electric motorcycles, have a breather valve issue that allows water to enter the high voltage battery.
Ooh, sounds risky.
Yeah, not ideal.
So what's their solution on that one?
I didn't read what the remedy was if they had it yet.
Maybe you just need some of that. What's that? Flex tape or something that guy on the As Seen on TV does?
Yeah.
He just sticks the tape on it.
Well, you've got the breather so it can equalize pressure between the inside and the outside of the case. But yeah, the description of the defect is breather valve may not seal properly and allow moisture or water to enter the high voltage battery. This could lead to the vehicle losing power and increase the risk of crash. Over time, this could also lead to a battery fire, even when the vehicle is not being driven. These conditions could increase risk of injury or even death.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, battery fires aren't fun. Yeah, let me see. They issued a stop shipment back in March, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, they have a remedy. New protection plate, has a rubber stopper. Yeah, cool.
Thank goodness.
Okay. Into the news. Anything you want to start with specifically?
Let's just go in order.
Okay. We forgot to mention last episode, Long Way Home is coming.
Mm-hmm.
If you are into motorcycles and don't know about Long Way Round, Long Way Down, Long Way Up from Ewan McGregor, Charlie Borman.
I like to take the long way.
Yeah. So they're coming out with a new series, Long Way Home. It releases, I think, on the 9th. I
don't remember.
Yep, May 9th. It premieres on Apple TV Plus. They're taking a 10,000 mile ride.
That'll be very soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 days from recording. Probably get this out tomorrow. So 1 day from this podcast releasing. 10,000 mile ride from Ewan McGregor's home in Scotland to Borman's home in England.
So, do you know how far those are actually apart? So they're doing 1,000 mile.
Apart.
They're doing, what is it, 10,000 mile ride?
Yes.
From England to Scotland, because I'm American and have zero geography awareness.
Yeah.
I Googled it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how long of a ride it is?
Not very far.
360 miles.
Yeah, I was going to guess a couple hundred at most.
I didn't have their exact towns or anything like that, but it would be a 6-hour drive, and they're making it like a multi-month ride.
As one does, because sometimes when you're on the bike, you take the long way. Right?
Good for them.
Yeah. Looks to be like it's going to be a good time. They're doing it on some older bikes this time. McGregor's on a 74 Moto Guzzi Eldorado. Borman is on 70-something BMW R75 /5. So, interesting bikes. We'll see how they hold up. I anticipate a few hiccups with the vintage of machine they're riding, which is half the fun.
Fun if there wasn't drama.
Yeah.
And it humanizes the whole experience, because if you just had people who were like semi-famous doing stuff without problems, it wouldn't be fun to watch.
Yes, very true. Very true. Next news story. Do you see it?
Oh, I saw it.
Uh-huh.
I didn't look into it. I didn't click anything because I felt like I knew a little bit already since you've already had your hype day.
Yeah, I didn't put much in here.
So what am I supposed to...
You want to intro it? What came out? Or what was it?
Announced.
Yeah.
The Slate Truck.
Yep. So Slate has come out of stealth.
Is that the brand? Like, that's the overall...
Slate is the brand.
Do they have anything before this?
Nope. So
they started crawled out of a crack in the sidewalk, and they're like, boom, here's this truck.
Yeah, so it's been in development for a couple years in different ways.
You should see if they're hiring. That'd be cool.
They are. Nothing remote.
So we're moving?
Would you like to move to the middle of Indiana? Farm country?
It's not really any better than here, is it? Indiana is rough. Remember that one time we went to Indiana? Mm-hmm. It was weird. And it was like empty and cornfields. I don't think we went to Fort Wayne, so we were barely in the state, I think. But it was pretty desolate and sad.
Well,
I'm sure there's good stuff, though.
Yes.
What city are they in?
I don't remember. That wasn't going to be a highlight of my article.
Okay, well, I'm sure there's good stuff over there.
Yeah. Warsaw, maybe? You could Google that one.
If it's not Indianapolis and it's not Fort Wayne, I've never heard of it.
Yeah. So Slate came out of stealth. They started originally as Car, as an RE, and then I think a CAR, which is a spinoff of, I believe it's Rebuild, whose whole goal is to like rebuild American manufacturing. So Slate is going to be manufacturing a electric pickup truck with a target price. This is one of the hiccups is right now their target price is under $20,000, but that is after the federal EV incentives, which means the price is actually about $27.5. It's interesting. I'm excited about it. I put a reservation in. It's a $50 reservation that's refundable right now.
Did you see on the homepage when you scroll through the different models, it does a little jerky thing in the car, like you scroll too fast, it like wiggles?
Yeah. Yeah, the suspension bounces.
That's amazing.
And if you scroll down further, they've named each one of those.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So it has all kinds of party tricks. So number one, there are only 2 options on the truck.
Dang, what a cool website.
Which is the 2 battery sizes. There's a roughly 150 mile range option and then an extended 240 mile range option. Everything else is sold as accessories that are designed for DIY install, although they will be offering, it sounds like a service where they may pre-install these before they deliver your truck to you. But when they're building the truck, they're building them in one essentially configuration with the exception of the battery. They will not be painted. They're using a composite panel.
Troy, Michigan. There's a lot of these.
Yeah, Troy, Michigan is one of their, that's like their headquarters.
There's Warsaw, Indiana.
Warsaw, Indiana is the factory. Yeah.
Happening.
So the panels are designed to, the whole truck is designed to eliminate the paint process, which is going to expedite their production process. It's much cheaper if they don't have to have a paint booth, deal with all the regulation of paint work, etc. So, single gray color that is formed into the composite panels, but they will be offering these like, it sounds like pre-cut wrap options. So you can choose the color yourself by wrapping it, vinyl wrap. The truck also can convert into an SUV. And there's 2 different SUV options. So in the bed of the truck, they have a panel that it looks like comes out for the rear seats of the SUV to mount in. A roll bar then gets installed that includes airbags for the rear occupants. And then you have your choice between a square back or a fastback top for the SUV. Manual windows standard.
Manual.
Mm-hmm. They have a power window upgrade.
There's probably an entire generation that's never had a manual window.
Yep.
Or 2.
Probably, yeah. No infotainment. They give you the option.
Oh my God, people are going to have to drive their cars.
Yes.
I'm
so excited
moving
for
backwards.
This. It is everything I want, other than the only thing I wish is it was cheaper, because I worry by the time production starts, federal and EV incentives aren't going to be here. And I also wish they had an all-wheel drive version. We'll see if they eventually get there. Someone made a comment that it sounds like potentially some of the architecture of the truck was set up where they may be able to add that option down the road.
That'd be nice if you could scale it, just modify. Like, you can take this, like Legos.
Yeah, well, and that's their whole goal. One of their arguments is like, buy the truck, reconfigure it how you want as you can afford to do so, right? Mm-hmm. If you want the SUV but you can't afford the SUV right now, cool. Buy the truck, and whenever, in a year or whatever, whenever you've saved up enough for the SUV kit, cool. Now you can just make your truck an SUV. No radio standard. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm big on have the AM FM radio in there for communication. We'll see. I think there's if it's not the same bill, potentially the bill has been reintroduced in Congress mandating, I believe, AM radios in cars specifically for that reason. But physical knobs for the HVAC system. With this being said, it does still have some safety stuff because it's federally mandated. backup camera, emergency braking, I think pedestrian identification maybe.
They got some merch.
They do have some merch. They've got a really cool configurator on their website. I went over to the Fleet site. They also have like a cargo back, so you can kind of turn it into like a van almost. It looks like they're going to have a lift kit option.
They have a doggy
they have
bandana.
a doggy bandana.
And even the dog is colored according to their branding.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
So, link will be in the show notes, of course, but slate.auto if you want to go learn more about it. I think it's really cool. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for it to get here. They're targeting Q4 of 26 for production to start. They're not.
Start.
Yeah, they're not anticipating
it's like
fully
3 years away.
What?
I mean, by the time you get one, I wonder what beginning production, but that doesn't mean how long does it take to produce one of them?
Days.
Oh. I guess it would also be interesting. I wonder.
They're not going to start mining the lithium in Q4 of 26. They just got
how many reservations. Let's see if I can find it.
I don't know that they've announced reservation numbers yet. But yeah, they have all kinds of accessories. They have a really cool configurator.
There's a subreddit.
They've got some base configurations on their website where you can go through and look at different combinations of truck and SUV packages. I wrote an article about it. It's up on the blog. I think I put a link in there to the configuration I put together. I'm looking fastback SUV package. Looks really cool with the top off. I just really hope it either has such fantastic weight distribution that it'll do good on sand even with two-wheel drive, or they come out with an all-wheel drive option.
This person read an article saying their Series A funding was $100 million and Series B funding was just over $1 billion.
Yeah, they just closed Series B after launching. Or coming
I don't know. Stuff. I guess you need to go in it with a healthy amount of skepticism of thinking Kickstarters and stuff, how you see something and you're like, wow, best thing ever, and then they go into production and things just don't pan out.
Agreed. The glimmer of hopes I have is they have a bunch of people who seem to have decent backgrounds, meaning they're not just pie in the sky dreamers. They've got people with industry experience. Mm-hmm. 2, it sounds like they had worked in conjunction loosely with Sandy Monroe. If you're not familiar with Monroe, I think it's Monroe and Associates. Go on YouTube, Monroe Live. They do fantastic breakdown of EVs. One of my deep rabbit holes I get into sometimes. But they basically help manufacturers make better design choices for production and reliability and efficiency and all that fun stuff. And they tear down vehicles, and then they'll basically sell those tear down reports to the manufacturers so they can see how their competitors are doing stuff. I just realized I'm flipping through the homepage. I don't know if they've changed these because I don't know if I went through all the configurations, but configuration 25 of 25 currently is the Snow Dog. It is a pickup truck with skis on the roof. And
all sorts of weird renderings of photos in this subreddit.
There's a dog in the bed of the truck.
Slate ad. Oh my.
Wearing a hat.
Yeah, he is. That's weird. It's interesting to watch the buzz. I guess we all just kind of need something to look forward to.
Yeah, which is a good transition.
There's a lot of buzz still happening around these trucks. And it's interesting how people are just not getting their reservations in. Mm-hmm. And everyone's trying to figure out what number they are based on the reservation number. And it's just been very hush-hush.
Yeah, so the current thought, at least on these Slate forums, is like some other EV manufacturers have done. The numbers cannot be decoded to figure out the order you're in. because they may not be delivering trucks
in the order in which they were ordered.
Correct.
Yeah, you don't want to overpromise and like ruin everything.
Based on configuration choice,
expectations,
on battery size, and geographic location.
Expectations are what create disappointment.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
All right, moving on.
As far as looking forward to stuff, we can look forward to Fuel Cleveland 2026.
And maybe it won't overlap with Vintage Days.
That would be very nice.
I wonder if that had an effect. They've been another hush-hush. They've been very quiet about why Fuel Cleveland has paused its 2025 year.
They did say they're moving back to Cleveland, which further fuels my speculation that it's an issue with Hale Farm.
Could have been an issue. Could have just been feedback. I don't know. We weren't there last year because we were at Vintage Days. So I wonder how much of an impact that even had on things.
Yeah.
I'm sure some.
I think last year was the first. Was that the second year at Hale Farm? Because we went the first year, but it was still single day, I think. And I think last year they went to 2-day.
Yeah. It still was really. I mean, it was a good turnout when we were there. We went on Sunday, I think, didn't we?
Maybe we went 2 years. We went 2 years. Because the first year...
Oh, yeah. It was both at Hale Farm.
Yeah. So this 2024 had to have been the third year. They had it at Hale. Because the first year was whenever I picked up the Sportster in Florida and tried to ride it back.
I was reading some of the comments on Facebook. We never went when it was at Skidmark or near it.
No. The second time... A
lot of people are hoping it goes back because it was just a different vibe.
Yeah. The second time I rode the Honda there. And that was the year Dad went. Mm-hmm. And then last year we didn't go because of Vintage Days. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess that was 3 years at Hale Farm. But if they're moving it back to Cleveland...
Maybe Hale Farm only had Vintage Days weekend open and they were like, we can't do it again. We can't do it.
Well, it was also bad because last year was... Vintage Days, Harley Homecoming, Fuel Cleveland, and I think something else, all the same weekend.
So silly.
Yeah.
Spread that stuff out.
So, yeah, if you hadn't found out yet, Fuel Cleveland has been paused for 2025, coming back in 2026.
Yeah. Hopefully they use that time to the best. I wonder, do they have people on staff or is that volunteer run? Do you know?
Fuel?
Yeah.
It's... As far as I know, mostly handled by the lowbrow people. Mm.
People were asking for old lowbrow, too, whatever that meant. So I don't know if the company is
what?
Lowbrow. I wonder if the company's just evolved and people are just nostalgic of what once was.
I don't know what all has evolved.
I don't know. I'm just saying what the comment said. Go to Facebook, read on Fuel Cleveland's comments, and
on Facebook?
Decipher them. Yeah.
Oh, why would anyone want to read Facebook comments? They're almost as bad as YouTube comments. Sometimes worse.
Sometimes there's just more of them. So I just wanted to see what people were saying.
Yeah, I didn't read the Facebook comments. I read some Instagram ones.
Probably didn't miss anything. Probably all the same stuff.
Just was glad that it was going to be back.
Yeah, a lot of people were just requesting it to go back to Cleveland.
Yeah, on Instagram they were just saying it's not canceled permanently, right?
Yeah.
Onward. This one was interesting. Speaking of EVs with the Slate. Mm-hmm. Okay. A bit to unpack here. So, a bill has been introduced in the House to create an annual EV tax. So, it makes sense on the surface, right? Because EVs don't pay any of the road tax or fuel tax because they're not buying gasoline or diesel. Mm-hmm. Something's got to go back to help fund the roads. The issue here is the math doesn't math.
Why don't they tax? Well, taxing the electricity at chargers wouldn't necessarily work because not everyone, people charge at home. So that's not scalable to that audience anyways.
But you could put a tax on at least the
voltage
level 2, level 3 chargers, like at charging stations, right? But Inside EVs did the breakdown, although I was confused because their article said a $250 a year tax whenever I read through the one congressman's post about the bill, it was a $200 tax. Anyways, it works out to way more fuel than the average person burns in a year as far as the tax.
Yeah, it's not proportional to what other people are paying.
They're also looking at doing a $100 tax on hybrids, which, okay. Now we start splitting hairs. What kind of hybrid? If it's a plug-in hybrid, sure, you could operate that vehicle entirely on electric.
This is a great way to make the visit to the BMV a little bit worse. Those poor people always look like they're someone just kicked their cat. They're so sad.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone goes in on their birthday.
I don't think our BMV people look like that.
Really? I think they're all just they all just look run down.
The people working the counter?
Yeah.
I don't think that at all. I always have pleasant conversations with them. I always find it interesting because
I've never been unpleasant or had unpleasant circumstances. They just don't look happy.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it might just be trying to punch through your day of repetition and just people that are never prepared because that's always what they're dealing with before I get up to
I'm
the
sure
counter.
No one has what they need, and as people get frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, holy crap. What would people do if they went online and read through the BMV's site that told them what paperwork they needed to have with them?
You have to deal with the people who can't see, and you have to tell them that they have to go get their eyes checked before they can get their license renewed. Or the people who don't like their photo. I don't know if I've ever denied a license photo because I just assume those people's jobs are so bad. It's like, how often does anyone look at my license? I don't get carded anymore. So what's it matter what my license picture looks like?
Yeah. Did it matter when you did get carded more?
I mean, I had to look at it more and deal with it myself, but I don't care what other people think.
Okay. But the $100 tax on hybrids is odd to me because it's like, okay, so you're going to tax a Honda Prius. If it's not a plug-in Prius, it's still buying fuel. Mm-hmm. It cannot propel itself without fuel. And if it gets 50 miles to the gallon roughly, it's like, okay, well, what was it? 87 Honda CRX got roughly the same fuel mileage. Are we going to apply the same tax to them?
It's so complicated.
But here's the weirder part. Then they want a $20 tax on all other vehicles starting in 2031.
2031. 6 years.
They argue that it's, quote, the first step towards House Republicans repealing and replacing the broken gas tax and federal excise tax. Cool. But the bill doesn't remove those or fix them. The bill only adds more tax. I'm not against paying taxes, but don't tell me that the bill is a step towards repealing and replacing a broken tax, between the gas tax and the federal excise tax, whenever the bill doesn't address that at all. Just be honest on what you're doing is, I guess,
they don't
my
know.
issue.
They're winging it.
Yeah. Speaking of winging it, what a good transition. Harley's Q1 financials are out.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah.
I think working a corporate job, I kind of just hate financial reports in general.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Harley's loving them. They are retail motorcycle sales of Harley Davidson year over year down 21%.
Eesh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
U.S. market share fiscal year 24 was 37%. Q1 25 is 36%.
Wasn't the U.S. market the worst?
Well, that's where they have the largest share of the market.
Oh.
This is, of all the motorcycles sold, how many are theirs, right? In Europe, fiscal year 24, they were 5% market share. Q1 25, they're down to 2%. Harley Davidson dealer inventory units is up slightly from Q4 24, still down from Q1 of 24. So we're just adding more on top of the already issues with Jochen Zeitz stepping down. The real fun part here is the tariff update. Did you look at it at all?
So I don't know if I got that far. I read the ride apart one, but I didn't like flip through the slide or anything.
Yeah, so
there's only one.
What?
Is it on the one slide?
Did you go? Oh, you clicked the ride apart link in the notes?
Yeah, I did.
Go to the power sports business. I don't know. Ride apart may have had it in their article too. Okay. So they state Q1 of 25. New tariff impact has been minimal at $9 million. We expect tariff impact will increase starting in Q2, but environment remains volatile. So they believe the net new 2025 tariff headwind to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $130 to $175 million.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not great to stack on top of the other issues. They also have confirmed plans to re-enter the entry-level motorcycle segment. Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't have left it. I'm going to beat this dead horse probably for the rest of eternity. They screwed up. They shouldn't have let Levittich go. Just go follow his.
Nothing they can do about it now.
Yeah, turn the ship. Try and get on the right heading.
Plus, there's a whole new path ahead of them with tariffs and stuff. It's like, does it even matter who was CEO at this point?
Probably not.
Maybe,
it's
maybe
just
not.
All
when
chaos.
The economy's crashing and no one has jobs and just not buying expensive bikes. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And does Harley sway? Like, I mean, it's men.
Mm-hmm.
Stereotyping here, so a very light addressing of the conversation. What are the chances that a lot of these Harley riders voted for current administration? Pretty good? Or completely unrelated?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. Someone's probably got a demographic breakdown somewhere. So, speaking of chaos, especially with the tariffs, a bunch of publicly traded companies are no longer providing financial guidance or have retracted financial guidance going forward to their shareholders. Just amid the tariff uncertainties, Polaris has joined those ranks, so has General Motors, among others. It's going to be an interesting, at least next quarter or two. Hopefully all this gets sorted out by the fall.
So, quick Google says typical Harley Davidson owner is considered to be a white male around 47 with an income of approximately $90K. Which
where are you getting that information?
I'm not giving I'm not putting a ton of weight into it. It was a quick Google. You know how they do the AI overviews?
Okay, the generative AI at the top.
Yeah. I'm not saying that that's like hard facts. At some point,
it sounds realistic, but
I would take it.
That generative AI also
Very general statement. Very general. I'm not putting a ton of weight into it. I just wanted a quick answer. I did find another article that's marketing Gruel Levy marketing news, which I have no idea who that is. Talks about Harley Davidson's marketing strategies. It has a section highlighted. It says between the ages of 45 and 65. Doesn't get into the broken down. Doesn't even say male. So very light touch and go. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the generative.
It's just interesting. In the end, it doesn't matter because it is what it is. It says gender, male. Still the majority of motorcycle owners, but their share is decreasing.
Yeah.
Females growing significantly, with women now making up a substantial portion of the riding population, particularly among younger generations.
Define substantial. I mean, I want it to keep increasing, but define substantial.
I don't know. I mean, I clicked the link, but we're just going to spiral here.
Yeah.
Young women are owning motorcycles more now than ever. I'm not going into any of these articles, but there's articles that support it in the last 5 years.
Yeah. What I was going to say is the generative AI answer it gave you first sounds realistic, but this is also the same Google generative AI that told people to use non-toxic glue to keep cheese on pizza. So, grain of salt.
19% of motorcycle riders are women, up more than 9 percentage points from a decade earlier.
19%? 1 in 5?
That's what it says.
I mean, that's awesome if that's where we're at.
I'll have to flag this article for later. It's not super recent. It's from June of last year, but it's still upticking trends are still upticking trends. So
yeah.
It'd be interesting to go through and read it. Very realistic looking women here. Sometimes you just get a very curated audience of what they think women on bikes should look like. This appears to be a very realistic article on USA Today that we can save for later.
To the next story, Kawasaki is working on a supercharged H2 UTV side-by-side.
I did not click on that.
It is going to have... They have 250 horsepower with an asterisk because of differences in the way they rate or measure horsepower between one set of measurement systems and the way they measure cars. So it could be actually more than 250 horsepower.
It's a lot of horses.
Which begs the question, why? Like, I understand side-by-sides. When we're pushing this much, and like, do you remember the last time we went to Iron Pony and there was a side-by-side there with like windows and doors and leather interior and heating and cooling?
Yeah, vaguely.
And it was like 40-some thousand, almost $50,000. And you look at it and you're like,
I'll buy a car.
Yeah, you could go get a Tacoma.
I could get 2 of my cars for $50,000.
Yeah, you could go get a Jeep.
You can get like a lot of used vehicles.
Well, yeah, but like for the same use case. Like you could build a Jeep and go ride trails.
Year round.
Like your side-by-side and then drive it to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just confusing to me why we're pushing them as far as we're pushing these side-by-sides. But hey, if people enjoy them, go for it.
Yeah, do what you love. In this day and age, do whatever you love.
Yeah, I just still want Kawasaki to do an H2-based cruiser. Give me a supercharged cruiser of some sort. And then, I thought we had a weird news for this week. Apparently I forgot.
I tried to find one. I don't know how you find those.
Oh, I do have weird news for the week. But before we get to that, May is AMA's Take a Kid Dirt Biking Month. So go find a kid.
Take him with you.
Find a dirt bike for that kid and take him dirt biking. And following up on our conversation last episode on whether or not I needed to change the price on the mini bikes, the electric mini bikes. Mm-hmm. Not yet, but I did get an email from my supplier that some of the electric dirt bikes are going up.
Probably just depends on when inventory shifts. I'm sure with the season as the inventory turns over.
Yep, as they're ordering more units in because...
That's nice of them not to apply that before, because technically they could just apply it now and...
Yeah, but I mean, half is
the top.
People aren't sure what tariffs they're paying until they actually bring stuff in for the first time.
It's true, but they could still mark it up and play it off as like preemptive tariff increase. You know what I mean? That's pretty honest of them to say.
100%.
It hasn't happened yet.
Yep. So take a kid dirt biking month. Okay, weird news. What has been our local weird news story that has blown up all over the place?
I know. I'm trying to remember his name.
Oh, I remember his name.
Chewy.
Yeah. So you may have already seen it because I think it's starting to blow up on social media.
Because this is what Ohio gets known for. Or even better,
Akron. Like school shootings. For a while,
serial killers.
Every time I left the state of
sometimes
Ohio,
a cannibal.
There was a mass shooting. Every time I left the state of Ohio.
So watch out. We're leaving this weekend.
5 or 6 year stretch. Knock on wood. It's been like a decade since that correlation was happening in my life. But so not far from us is Springfield Township.
Very close. Not even that far. It's like not even 10 minutes.
No.
A couple miles.
5.
Yeah.
You know where the Waffle House is?
Yes.
That's Springfield.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Close.
Springfield Township
Chewy's
police
hanging out.
Had a traffic stop. the woman they pulled over and pulled out of the vehicle had a pet raccoon. She had some priors. I forget what the traffic stop was initiated about. No one cares at this point.
Nope.
The whole punchline
They might have even let her go because they've gone viral at this point.
Yeah. Whole punchline is officer goes back to the window of the vehicle, has this on badge cam. Her pet raccoon, Chewy, is holding her meth pipe that he has picked up somewhere out of the car and is holding it to his mouth like he's smoking a meth pipe. Yeah.
Oh, Chewy.
I watched the full badge cam. The woman who had come out of the vehicle goes back through the window. Officer's like, you can't grab that. Like, you can't take it away from him. Or he thought she was probably trying to just take the meth pipe and like hide it. And she's like, no, he just shouldn't have it. So at least she cared about the raccoon and didn't want the raccoon smoking meth. So of course everyone's making jokes about it. The one local car show is restarting in July, and they're like, no meth smoking raccoons allowed at our event.
So do you think that there's a correlation to the fact I was speaking to our neighbor behind our house the other day. She was very concerned that she has a daytime raccoon that keeps stumbling around. Do you think it's Chewy or one of his close relatives?
Chewy's up during the day because he's high on meth.
He's sneaking out, man. Yeah. She's probably passed out, so he's like sneaking out, hitting the road. He's getting some good grub. Maybe she hasn't realized she only sees him on trash day and he's out getting the good stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Or she just has a random rabid raccoon. No, I saw that raccoon. Like I said, I think it's the same one that I saw the one day on my way home. I don't think he's rabid. I think it was just weird timing.
He's just confused. he's just working night shift during the day.
He was like out. It wasn't even like middle of the day. It was like
I would die if I
evening.
Saw a daytime raccoon with our little
dogs. In the field.
Yeah, what if he came barreling at me and our little tinies? That doesn't bother you?
No. I would love a
me.
Pet raccoon.
He's not going to be a pet. He's going to eat our pets. He's going to beat them up. He wants their snackies.
No, I don't think he's a threat. He did not appear to be rabid, or she. It did not appear to be rabid.
Because you know what a rabid raccoon looks like across the field.
It wasn't across the field. You know how big the field is. He was like 15 feet off the road.
Very sus.
Okay.
Our dogs are up on their rabies shots. Thank goodness.
Oh, good. Anything else?
No.
I thought of something a second ago, but I already forgot.
Write it down when you think of it.
Yeah.
Do it next week.
Yeah. 2 for 2. 2 weeks in a row.
Ish.
We'll see if we keep the trend going.
What, 10 days?
Vintage days.
What about it?
Went ahead and already applied for our media passes.
Look at you. We did it what? Like, right? How much advance did you do it last time?
Before the deadline.
I didn't know they had a deadline.
They do have a deadline, and I applied before the deadline. But I'm good job. A month or a month and a half earlier than last year. And
hopefully they still like us.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, we have the rest of May, we have all of June, and we have most of July. It's more like 3 months.
No, it's 2 months, but it's end of July.
Yeah, it's the very end of July.
Okay.
It's almost 3 months.
Okay, we have time.
2.5-ish.
We keep saying that we have time.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how I feel about the engine swap. We need to get that done in June.
Transmission.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, are we doing both?
Oh, no. I don't really know which one does what, apparently. Transmission makes it so I can drive it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The engine's not
Or
related.
you can just learn to drive a 5-speed, although I would just prefer it to be manual.
You could barely drive that truck. There ain't no way I'm figuring it out.
No, man. I was cool until that last bit right before the gates, stopping on the hill and the engine trying to die. And
all bad vibes.
It was all bad. So hopefully the audio sounds decent.
Mm-hmm.
If it does, then we'll probably use it next week while we're away. And might get a few more microphones like this. And maybe do a live recording at Vintage Days, which would be cool. And I forgot to tell you. Do you know what brand these microphones are?
No.
Rockville.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah. They're rocking. Yeah.
Maybe we can put that as our hometown somewhere.
Rockville.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think that's it.
Bye.
See ya.